Welcome back to the Crypto 618 channel, and in today's video we're going to take a look at how to make an easy $25 a day on Beefy Finance. But before we get started, if you would like to see more of these videos, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. Let's get into it. So Beefy Finance, I've got this vault that's paying 1.39% per day, and it makes an easy $25 a day. I'll show you exactly how that works. So if you're new, let's have a look at Beefy Finance. So Beefy.finance, multi-chain yield optimizer. So I'm just going to break this down for you, make it really simple. We're not going to get too in depth. So what we're going to do is have a look at Beefy Finance is a decentralized finance, which is DeFi, yield optimizer. Okay, so what's that all about? So what happens is when you have, like, let's say you want to farm. So you've got your, let's say you've got a pool that you want to get into. It's a liquidity pool, and you want to provide liquidity to that pool, and you want to earn tokens. Okay, and then what you do is that it's like interest. So when you earn that interest, that's yours, and that's how you generate profit, and that's farming. So if you want to then use something like Beefy, what it does is it takes your yield, which is the interest you earn from providing that liquidity to a pool, and then compounds it back into the pool to generate more yield. So this is how you get this compounding effect when you use Beefy. But let's just have a quick look at Beefy. This is the main page here. If we jump into the docs, just click on here. Always check out the documentation and make sure you understand. This basically explains what Beefy is all about. And also the native token, which is Beefy, B-I-F-I. And you can scroll down here. If you're not sure of anything, you just click on any section, and it's really well documented there. So we'll jump in to the actual app itself. So when you jump in the app, you'll see all of these pools. So you've got all the different protocols here, and you've got all the different filters that you can do. And this is under the Explore tab. There's other sections like Vote, Stats, Blog, Docs, and Buy. So you just connect your wallet, and then you'll scroll down and you see all these different pools here. And essentially what they mean, if we have a look at this first one here. So this represents eShare, which is a token, and BNB, which of course is a token on Binance Smart Chain. And the LP stands for Liquidity Pool. So this is a liquidity pool with both those tokens in it. It's on the BNB chain, and the platform is on PancakeSwap. Now, when you click, what will happen is, if you were to do this manually, you would go along to PancakeSwap, you would add some liquidity to this, and basically you would take some BNB and you take some eShare, and you would put them together, and you would put that into the liquidity pool, and then you would receive an LP token. And this is what it represents. But if you do that manually, there's a few steps involved. And then the other thing is, once you get you earn some rewards from your LP, which is paid out in both eShare and BNB. Once you receive those rewards, you would have to then sell those rewards off, and then try and put them back into the liquidity pool and make the liquidity pool again. So there's quite a few transactions that happen for this to take place. And what Beefy does is basically automates all this. So if we were to come into this pool here, we have a look. I've actually already just deposited in here to show you. And we've got our deposit and withdrawal. But you would come along, and normally what you do is, when you either have the LP token already, which means you've already went over to PancakeSwap, for example, and created it, and you come back here and then enter it, and that would be the eShare-BNB LP. Or you would have wrapped BNB, or you'd have eShare or BNB. So what this does is they have this function called Zap, and basically it takes, for example, you could just have BNB, you could just take that BNB, and you could click on this button here, and it'll put all your BNB into this LP, and it takes it breaks apart the BNB. Let's say you choose BNB, and then it will sell enough that it will buy the eShare that you need, and it will put those two components together in the LP and put it in the LP. So you can see here what it's going to do. So it's going to swap the BNB for some eShare. Then it's going to get those two components, two tokens, and add liquidity and receive the eShare BNB LP. Then it's going to deposit that LP into the Beefy vault. And then what it's going to do is return any other amounts back to your wallet. So, and of course, there's zero deposit fees. There's a 0.1% withdrawal fee and a 4.5% fee. So what happens is very easy. You just, let's say you start off with BNB. This is what I did originally. And I just click on deposit. And normally you'll have to approve this. And there's normally 2 transactions. And then once it's in there, you'll see it you'll see where it says your deposit and then when it was last harvested. Now at any time you can withdraw this. You can come along and withdraw, and you can scroll down here. You can either take your LP out and move it elsewhere. You can take out eShare and BNB, or all eShare or all BNB. And let's say we're to take all BNB out now. We would click on that. We would click max. This would tell you exactly what it's going to do. So it's going to redeem this token for the LP, remove liquidity, then it's going to swap the eShares for BNB and then transfer the BNB to your wallet. They have a small 0.1% withdrawal fee and 4.5% performance fee, and you just press withdraw all and that's done. So it's easy to deposit and easy to withdraw. So then you're like, well, okay, how's this going to benefit me? So if we have a look on this is paying, the APY is 10,597. This is the yield. And with this yield, that pays around about 1.3% per day, as you can see here, made up from the yield. So basically, if you whatever you put in the deposit, you're going to be getting that 1.3% per day generated from the yield and the compounding that's happening, because any of the yield that you're getting, it is then going back in and purchasing more of the eShare BNB LP, which is then generating more rewards, and then the rewards get put back in again, and this is this compounding effect, and it works out at 1.3%. And of course this changes. Just a few minutes ago it was a 1.39. So you'll see this change, and if you want to have a look at what the daily APY is, and historically, you can see it come along here, and you can have a look at it by the hour. Every hour you can see it changing and how it basically changes over time, and you can look at different time periods. So that's really handy. So how can we make like $25 a day on this strategy? So it's very simple, as I said, to deposit and withdraw. So we've deposited, and we want to know how much would we need to deposit. So I've just done just an example here of deposit like $39, nearly $40, and that's going to yield $15 a month, or about 51 cents a day. But if we want to bump that up and make like $25 a day, how much do we need? So I come along to a little daily compound interest calculator that I put together quickly, and we'll have a look at this. So if we're at 1.39%, this is what it was a minute ago. That was for the $25. Let's just have a look at what it's currently paying. So it's 1.3. So if let's say we switch that to 1.3% daily, we're at 23. Let's bump that maybe to $1,900. Yeah. So you'd need about $1,900 USD for this strategy. And you could have that in BNB or whatever tokens you have, but normally you would have to get it into the BNB. You would come along here, and then you would deposit the $1,900 worth of BNB in here, and you would click max. Now by doing that, you would get that compound 1.3%. Now if we just compound for 1 day, after 1 day, you'd have about $1,925. Now remember, there is gas fees. There is other fees that are not included in here. You've got that withdrawal fee, which we saw here on the withdrawal page, which is 0.1%, and also that performance fee. So none of those fees are included, but it's just a general idea. So even if you had like $2,000 and you had 1.3 and you allowed for a few fees, you'd be earning maybe $25, $26 a day. And you can just have a look at sort of the different results you get. Now, do remember that this interest rate is going to change, and this is only over 1 day. For example, if we did it, let's say everything remained the same, and you would be able to farm and compound over the next 30 days, your $1,900 in principal would end up being about $2,800. Now, your overall profit, if you were then to sell that and there was no price change when you actually finally got out, you'd make about $900, which is about $30 a day. So obviously it's a little bit more the longer you compound, but when you go back to 1 day, you can see how it's $25 for the day, and you just need about $1,900 to do this strategy to get that kind of compounding. And just remember, this interest rate will drop, and you would expect to see your profit per day drop. And obviously, you've got to monitor your positions. So that gives you a little brief thing about one little strategy that you can use, and that's to get that yield that we're talking about. Now, why would you use Beefy? So Beefy saves you time and gas fees and makes it really simple. So you'd have to do a lot of transactions if you do this yourself, but the dashboard is really easy to understand. You just use the Explore. You find the different vaults that you're interested in. These are the pools. And then once you're interested in a pool and you research it, do your own research, you then decide to, let's say you want to deposit in this one here, you would then click on it and then come all over deposit, and then you get to choose what you want to deposit. In this case, because it's on Avalanche, you would choose deposit AVAX. And then once you type that in there, you put the amount, and then you would switch to Avalanche Network and then deposit. Once that's deposited for you, you would then monitor that and just see how much it's generating. And then when you want to withdraw, you just come along here, withdraw, click on AVAX or whichever format you want, and then max, and then withdraw all your capital out. So that's all you need to do. And the good thing about it is really easy to understand. It's really simple for beginners. It's not too hard at all. This started back in 2020, back in October, and it's been audited and has over 10 devs working on Beefy Finance at the moment. So this is a really solid project that's been going for some time, and they've progressed. They've got a lot of things going on with Beefy. So I like it because it's really simple. There's a lot of other complicated platforms, but they really make it simple. And the best part about it is these documents that they have. You can really learn a lot of information by going through the documents. So I encourage you to do that. The other thing I want to talk about is the risks. So if there's an exploit or rug of the pool that causes the token value to lose all of its value, that can happen. Also, the token price may dump. So you might be farming a token, but then that price dumps of that token, for whatever reason, and the price drops. So you're left with, you might have the other token might have value, but the actual other token has a lot less price. So there's no value there in that token. So you potentially could lose some money in that respect. So you got to make sure that the actual tokens, not going to dump on you, and that's part of you doing your own research. Impermanent loss, I'm not going to talk about this, but because I'll leave a link to an explanation for impermanent loss. But essentially, impermanent loss doesn't exist until you leave the pool. So when you have your funds in the pool, everything's great. You could be making money from the pool, but when you separate and take your components out, you'll always end up with a different amount of tokens from what you put in to what you take out. And if the underlying asset goes up in price and you've had it in a pool, you might lose out the value, because if you had it outside the pool, the value would have went up and you would have possibly realized that value and made money from that. But because it's in a pool, you can't make that profit because it's inside the pool. You don't have access to it. So it's kind of like the loss that you get from unless you hodl. So if you hold on to that token, this is what you would lose if you were holding versus if it was in the pool. And that's kind of like what impermanent loss is. But I'll leave a link below for an explanation more in depth on that. Another one would be the exploit of Beefy Finance. So if something happened there, that would also cause a problem. So obviously there is risks, but a lot of people can understand those risks, manage those risks, and then they can use these tools like Beefy Finance to basically generate really juicy profits for themselves. And whether it's 1.39 or 1% or 0.5%, whatever your risk profile is, and depends on what the project you want to get into, you decide. But this is just a quick example of how to make $25 a day. And in this scenario, you would probably need around about $1,900 to do that. So it's pretty straightforward. Will be doing more videos on Beefy Finance and finding out more vaults and more interesting ways and different strategies. So I encourage you to subscribe and check those videos out when I release them. So I think that's all I want to cover for today's video. If you have liked today's video, just click the like button. And if you would like to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. If you want to support the channel, just come over here and click on support the channel. You can join our private Discord group, and also you can click this little button here, and then you can also subscribe to our newsletter where we send out the latest videos every day as well. So I hope you've enjoyed today's vid. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.